Do you even love me anymore, Jack? No, I'm serious. You're always either at work or out with your friends. I can't take it anymore. I'm lonely and I miss you. You don't pay any attention to me. What happened to his couple and why have they grown apart? Watch the video to find out. Jack and Julia had been inseparable since high school. Their friends used to joke that they were two halves of a whole, the perfect match. They went to the same college, shared classes, and spent most of their time together. After 3 years of dating, they stayed close and got married just 2 months after graduating. Jack studied business administration and Julia majored in marketing, a field she hoped would let her express her creativity. The plan was simple: work together, live together, and stay as close as possible. But life doesn't always go as planned. Jack got hired at a big firm downtown, but Julia, despite her hard work, didn't make the cut. She found a position at a smaller company on the opposite side of the city, but it wasn't what she had hoped for. Her job felt more routine than creative, and after months of going through the motions, Julia felt like she was losing herself. As Jack worked his way up at his firm, things at home became more strained. The different schedules, long commutes, and the weight of everyday life kept pulling them further apart. But Jack didn't notice the cracks forming. He believed that everything would work itself out, and he wanted Julia to feel the same way. When Julia finally admitted to herself that marketing wasn't the right path, Jack supported her, promising to take care of things financially while she explored her passions. She had always loved painting, and Jack helped her rent a small studio near their apartment. It wasn't much, but it was hers, a space to let her creativity run free. Julia threw herself into her art, creating colorful, expressive pieces that let her escape the monotony of daily life. Her days felt full and exciting again, and soon enough, she met other artists who inspired her. One of those people was Daniel, a regular visitor to the studio. A bit older than her, with an easy charm and an artistic eye, Daniel shared her love of painting and understood the things she struggled to put into words. He became a frequent visitor, and they often spent hours talking about their dreams, frustrations, and everything in between. One afternoon, Jack walked into the studio and found Julia laughing at something Daniel had said. He brushed it off, not wanting to overthink it, but Julia noticed his distant expression. That night, as they were getting ready for bed, she finally asked, "Do you even love me anymore, Jack?" "No, I'm serious. You're always either at work or out with your friends. I can't take it anymore. I'm lonely and I miss you. You don't pay any attention to me." Jack, caught off guard, struggled to find an answer. "Of course I love you, Julia. Everything I do is for us. I need to work hard now so we can have a good future." "But what about now?" Julia replied, her voice breaking. "What about the present? It's like you're not even here." Jack shook his head, tired of the same argument. "I'm doing the best I can, Julia. I thought you'd understand." They went to bed without resolving the conversation, each lost in their own thoughts. And while Jack drowned himself in work, Julia's connection with Daniel grew stronger. He understood her loneliness, her desire for something more, and eventually they crossed a line that she knew would change everything. Their affair started slowly, with late nights in the studio, stolen touches, and whispered conversations. Julia told herself it was harmless, a way to feel alive again, but deep down, she knew it was more than that. Months passed, and Jack felt the growing distance, though he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Julia was different, more withdrawn, but every time he asked, she reassured him that everything was fine. Still, his unease lingered. One evening, after a particularly cold dinner with Julia, Jack confided in his friend Michael, who had known them since college. "She's pulling away from me, Mike. I don't know what I did wrong. I gave her everything, the studio, the time to pursue her art, but it's like she's slipping away." Michael, who'd noticed the strain between them, suggested something Jack hadn't considered. "Have you thought about the possibility that maybe there's someone else?" Jack laughed it off, but the seed of doubt was planted. Unable to shake the feeling, Jack hired a private investigator, wanting to know the truth even if it hurt. When the investigator came back with the photos, Jack felt his heart break. There was Julia, in her studio, wrapped around Daniel, their faces full of a happiness he hadn't seen in years. He flipped through the pictures, the truth stabbing at him with every new image. Jack sat in silence, letting the reality sink in. Julia, the woman he had loved since high school, had betrayed him with another man. But instead of confronting her right away, Jack's shock morphed into a cold determination. He wanted revenge, to make her feel the same pain and humiliation she had put him through. Over the next few days, Jack kept up appearances, pretending everything was normal. Julia noticed he seemed quieter than usual, but she was too wrapped up in her affair with Daniel to question it. Little did she know that Jack was plotting something she would never forget. Jack approached her one evening, his tone warm and supportive. "Hey, I've been thinking," he began, "what if we held an exhibition of your work? I could rent a small gallery, invite some people from work, our families, and give you the spotlight you deserve." Julia's face lit up. She'd been dreaming of showcasing her art for months, and now Jack was offering her the perfect opportunity. "Oh, Jack, that would be amazing. Are you sure?" "Of course," Jack said, smiling. "You've worked so hard, and I want people to see how talented you are." In the weeks leading up to the show, Jack worked behind the scenes to make sure everything was ready. He printed out some of the incriminating photos he'd received from the investigator. Images of Julia and Daniel that left no room for doubt. He arranged them neatly, scattering them among her other paintings. He also included screenshots of texts that showed the depth of their relationship, strategically placed to be impossible to miss. His plan was meticulous, designed to leave Julia exposed in front of everyone she respected. The night of the show arrived, and Julia was glowing with excitement. She greeted guests, basking in the compliments and encouragement. Jack stood by her side, his expression unreadable as he watched her walk around the gallery, unaware of what was about to unfold. As the crowd moved through the exhibition, murmurs began to ripple through the room. A few guests stopped in front of the incriminating images, their faces registering shock and confusion. Julia, who had been chatting with a friend, noticed the growing commotion and walked over to see what was happening. Her heart dropped when she saw the photos. Intimate moments between her and Daniel, moments she thought were private, now displayed for everyone to see. Her face turned pale, her hands shaking as she tried to understand what was happening. "Jack, what is this?" she managed to whisper, her voice filled with panic. Jack's face was cold, his voice cutting through the room. "This is the truth, Julia. I thought everyone should see the real you, the woman who couldn't even stay loyal to the man who gave her everything." Tears filled her eyes as she looked around, seeing the judgment on the faces of their friends, her colleagues, even her own parents, who had come to support her. The humiliation was unbearable. "Why? Why would you do this to me?" she choked out, unable to meet his gaze. Jack took a step back, his expression unyielding. "I didn't do this to you, Julia. You did this to yourself. I just made sure everyone else knew who you really are." Julia's lover, Daniel, had slipped out quietly the moment he realized what was happening, leaving her to face the fallout alone. People began to leave, shaking their heads and whispering as they walked out of the gallery. Julia sank to her knees, sobbing, the weight of her actions crashing down on her all at once. Jack walked out, leaving her in the empty gallery, her dreams shattered, her reputation destroyed. In the following weeks, he filed for divorce, determined to leave Julia behind and rebuild his life. Julia, jobless and alone, was left to pick up the pieces, knowing that she had lost everything she had ever loved, all because of a choice she could never undo. What do you guys think about this story? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.